some of the key critical aspects of working and partnering with an athlete, right? So we want to talk about how to strategically integrate athletes into your marketing plans, right? The importance of target audience alignment, meaning who are you trying to approach, and then how do you measure the success of working with an athlete, right? So without further ado, right, let's kick this thing off correctly, and let's talk about some of the key factors in integrating athletes into your marketing. First and foremost, define your objective. Oftentimes, companies just want to work with athletes just because they're hot, right? But in all reality, what's your objective for working with an athlete? Is it brand awareness? Is it them generating leads? Is it them engaging with your customers? Or is it them actually producing sales, right? Because not all campaigns work the same. So if you're trying to partner with an athlete and you just want them to make a post or make an appearance, what's the objective of them doing that for you, right? And is there a campaign fit, right? Some companies are so creative where they have these wild ideas on campaigns and they have these elaborate creative launches, but the athletes or the subjects that they choose don't fit. So when you're trying to partner with an athlete, you have to know what's your overall objective, but then the campaign, does it actually fit the athlete that you're trying to work with, right? Because what you don't want to do is partner with an athlete, have this great idea, and the content or the creative, you don't like it because the athlete you plug to do it, although they're popular or they're a star, it just didn't mesh, right? That their personality didn't fit, right? And that's a lesson to athletes too. Just on a footnote, not all deals are for you, right? You don't have to take every deal. Just like every company doesn't have to work with every star athlete. Sometimes you have to go and find the athletes that actually make sense with the campaign that you're trying to run. And then you have to think past a single campaign, right? So if you have an athlete who's hot and he's viral or she's viral, and you want to jump on this athlete right now because they're hot and everybody's talking about them, and you do this campaign where you had no objective and you wanted to grab the hottest athlete and you do this one thing. And they do this one thing and they bring you brand awareness, but that's as far as it goes because the messaging was off, because the campaign was off, and the athlete just didn't have a respect or a connection with your brand. So in our reality, all you did was add to the virality of this athlete, and all the athlete did was add to his long list of people who gave him a one and done. So it just wasn't a good fit. And when you're thinking about like the long term, it's like, okay, how can the athlete be part of a broader, like bigger ongoing plan, right? Some companies are really good at this, where they have a roadmap of 12, 18, 24 months, and this athlete is a key part of their brand messaging. Some companies have a 3-year campaign flight where they say, yo, this is going to be the face of this campaign, right? Does your company and does your brand have a foresight of 3 years from now where you can look at an athlete and say, that's who I want to work with, right? Because believe it or not, you may think that an athlete who's viral, who's popular, who's amazing today is a great campaign for your Super Bowl commercial or your holiday commercial in 2024, but in 2025 that athlete probably did something where it doesn't match, or they grew into a different level of branding, or they grew into a different level of influencer where their fan base is no longer the fan base that you're trying to attract. And that causes a lot of mismatching and frustrations and and gripes and whatnot. So from the standpoint of working with an athlete, you literally want to make sure that, yes, great campaign right now, but can this campaign parlay into another one, right? Can this athlete be the face of multiple campaigns that we run? We spoke about it on the last video, and if you haven't watched the last one, go back and watch it. But we talked about brand alignment, right? Yes, this athlete is great for this campaign right now, and can it parlay into other ones? The answer lies in your brand alignment. What's your brand messaging, right? So you want to make sure that that alignment is not just something that you believe, right? Go to social media, go to this athlete's Instagram, go to their Twitter, go to their LinkedIn, watch them on the sideline, watch them post game, pre-game, interviews, and watch how they speak and who they interact with and who's in their comments and who's in their likes. Because you're doing research on their audience. It's not just about how much engagement, right? Some athletes are blessed with a tremendous fan base who likes certain things that they do or that they represent. Although that engagement percentage or that engagement number is high, once you dig down and do the research, it might not be the audience that you want to work with. And this is what I tell athletes all the time, is that just because you have 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 followers, it doesn't mean that a company has to come and work with you, because your audience of 100,000, although the vanity number is amazing, the audience might not be who they want to work with. I don't think a luxury brand would want to work with people who aren't working, who don't have a career, and your audience is people who don't make over a certain amount of money per year. So just because you have a lot of followers doesn't mean you're right for that brand. And as the brand, just because they have a lot of followers, it doesn't mean that they're right for your brand. So that's one of the things when it comes to aligning your target audience with your athlete, right? And that comes from doing research. That comes from knowing exactly what you're trying to accomplish, what the campaign looks like, and can you tailor certain messages to fit their audience, right? So when certain campaigns happen, there may not be a one-for-one total glove fit when it comes to your athlete's market, but if you have to do too much work to tailor your message to that audience, it's probably not the audience you should be working with. It's probably not the athlete or the vehicle that you should be working with. So, when you're crafting the messages, will that audience of that athlete receive it in the way that you want them to receive it? Do you understand that audience? Because although I'm saying this, that the athlete's audience might not be yours, you may still want to work with them. But can your message really resonate and relate to that audience, right? Can you craft a campaign that's going to be like, okay, this may not be what we're used to, but I understand where they're coming from, right? That's the difference between understanding your market, your athlete's market, and how they all work together, right? And that just comes from you just doing tremendous research. And what type of engagement are you looking for, right? Because sometimes, although the audience might not be what you're looking for as far as purchasing, but infiltration of a certain market, just brand awareness and getting people to know who you are, might be the win for you. It might be the win. And as an athlete, some companies may only want to work with you simply just to get awareness to your market and your fan base. And it may not be nothing more than just, hey, talk about who we are, right? You got to know what the relationship is. And the way that you measure the success, and I'm going to close on this point, is the way that you measure the success is the metrics you want to track, right? So is it engagement rates? Is it conversion rates? Or is it you trying to get your brand sentiment across, right? And what I mean by engagement rates, you get this athlete to run a campaign. They're your face. How many people are clicking, viewing, sharing, commenting, liking this post or this campaign? Or how many people are watching this campaign? Those are engagement rates. Then if you're talking about conversion, how many people go from watching to buying or booking a call or showing up for a demo or doing a trial, right? So you can run a campaign where it's solely about engagement. Well, what kind of engagement are you looking for? What kind of conversion rate are you looking for? And then your brand sentiment, how many people know exactly what you're trying to get across, right? So you may have people who, get in the comments, say, you know what, I resonate with that, right? Oh, yeah, I remember that, right? That just gives me a feeling of back in the day. Like whatever you're trying to get across, those are the metrics you should track. So it's not always I paid this athlete and I didn't make any money. Well, your campaign wasn't built around making money. Your campaign was just, hey, look at me, right? And oftentimes businesses misconstrue this concept where they want to work with an athlete, they pay an athlete, and then they say that they didn't get the return, right? So for instance, right, so the U.S. Army paid the XFL X amount of money to get recruits, right? Instantly, I was like, well, I don't really see the correlation between the military and a developmental transitional football league. And then The Rock, nothing about The Rock says join the military. Everything about The Rock says entrepreneurship, bet on yourself, persevere through the downs, never give up on your dreams. So when they attached themselves to the XFL and they actually lost what they were trying to get, I didn't see how they were going to win that. Because although you attached yourself to a sport, that model is long gone. That's why the NFL didn't work out anymore and they lost that partnership, because NFL, professional sports, the lavish lifestyle, nice cars, great clothes, travel across the world, play on TV, nothing about that product says join the military. Nothing about that. So I believe that the military misaligned their brand and they didn't know what kind of campaign they were trying to run, and they expected something that they didn't get. So they couldn't track any metrics because they didn't know what campaign they were running, right? And sometimes you got to try multiple things, which is called A/B testing, right? So you may try this campaign with this athlete or this sport athlete, and then you might try the same campaign with this sport and this athlete, and then you track the metrics and see which sport and which athlete they resonated with your audience. And that's called A/B testing, because you're doing the same thing with two different variations of it, and you're going to see which one actually measured well. And I don't believe a lot of companies are doing that when it comes to working with athletes, because all they do is attach themselves to the popular athlete, which will get them brand awareness and get them eyeballs. But if they're trying to make sales, that athlete might not be the athlete to generate sales, right? So to wrap all of this up, everything you want to do when it comes to partnering with an athlete is starting with research, your objectives. What do you actually want to accomplish? It can't just be, I want to attach myself to the hottest athlete, to the hottest team, and grow my brand. Because growing your brand with the wrong people is recipe for disaster, because you want to get the right people in the boat. And using a vehicle or a draw that is drawing people, but the wrong people can sink your boat. And then using a right vehicle, but the wrong messaging, you might not get anybody. So to end this, if you really want to work with an athlete, the way you partner with an athlete is to first know